Reporting to the cloud. Hey, hi everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am continuing to admit the good people of the voiceover universe. Welcome to our first ever. Come on, Zoom user. Come on in, Sandy. Okay, what's up? Hi, everybody. Hey, James, great to see you. I got Susan in the house. I got Lily with a +1, Kimberly with a bevy with a straw. Hello. Hi, Andrea. Okay, all right, we are here and we are live and happening. What's up, everybody? My name is Siobhan. I am your host this evening here at Edge Studios' first ever home studio show and tell. I'm going to continue to admit folks in. Please utilize your chat experience and just drop a little message and tell me where you're joining us from. There are definitely 162 people here, so hopefully we're not all in New York and LA. Certainly, that's not our presence for our special guests this evening. Yeah, okay, LA. We got Indiana. We got a lot of LA, Northern California, Arizona, Cincinnati. Maybe here we go. Excellent. We love to see it. Great, great, great. Coachella. Hello, Marco in Pittsburgh. We have some Pittsburgh presentations happening tonight. All right, love it. Keep them coming. So happy to see you. Hi, hi, hi. So for those of you who don't use Zoom very often, amazing job avoiding that. But if you are trying to figure out how you want to enjoy your experience, in the upper right-hand corner, if you're on a desktop, you'll see a view button. And that view button means that you can observe this session in the gallery mode, which is what I'm in now because I like seeing all of your faces, or a speaker mode, which means that the person who is talking will be a nice big square for you to feel a little more closer to. We will be spotlighting our guests as they showcase the space. So a little bit of this experience I will be guiding for you. But in the meantime, I want you to kind of, it's your Zoom, it's your life, it's your 2022. Am I right? So with that being said, I'm really, really pleased to start this experience. It's our first time doing it, one of our first evening program sessions, truly. I'm going to say all year, but I mean, since May of 2021. So I do have Edge's Chief Edge Officer with us this evening, Mr. David Goldberg. How you doing, David?
Mr. David Goldberg. Hey, Siobhan. Hey, everyone. Hey, so I'm not sure, Siobhan, if maybe I missed something, but I don't know if you introduced yourself, but Siobhan is the most amazing social media marketing person imaginable. So yeah, she will guide us through. And Sarah, are you still on? Yeah, Sarah, you're still on. Sarah Glugach is the director of our education department, and she oversees the coaches and classes and workshops. And Siobhan and Sarah have worked very hard and excitingly so to bring tonight to fruition. So yeah, home studio show and tell. I just want to give an incredibly brief opening here because this is the first home studio show and tell. So for all of these years, I hate to admit it, but about 3 decades, voice actors have been sharing sort of their stories with me about their home studios, what works, what doesn't work, why a microphone can work in one space and not another space, and why padding works in one space and not another, and all of these things. And at the same time, I hear stories of or questions from voice actors saying, like, I wish I could just understand what I need to do. I wish I could get ideas for my own studio. And so tonight we're putting the two together. And so as Siobhan will walk you through in a moment, 3 different, I think it's 3, right? Siobhan, voice actors will walk us through their home studios. Cool. Okay. And I really want all of you to pay close attention. Look at their walls, look at the reflective surfaces in their rooms, look at the equipment that they use. And this is a chance to all swap ideas and share advice and suggestions. This is not just to watch someone's studio, and this is not just for the studio owners to show off their cool studios. This is really an opportunity for everyone to learn. So I hope you take the advantage of the opportunity to ask questions and study, and please don't hold back any question, even if it feels very elementary, because some of you on the call are brand new to voiceover and don't know a thing about studios, and that's fine. We all started there at some point, and some of you are very experienced. So this is for you, and if this goes well, we'll certainly do more of these. So let me throw this back to Siobhan. Thanks, everyone.
Thank,
Happy to join you.
thank you so much, David. All right, I'm giving David my Zoom applause here. My up twinkles. David, it's great to have you. Thanks for being with us. And so, yes, we are here to really have a pointed conversation about our three guests for this evening. I know that many folks filled out my form, and I thank you for doing that. And I just want you to know that I selected these people not because I don't love all the people who filled out the form. I was just kind of like, I could only do three. And it was really hard to pick three. So this is where we're at. And but you will actually love these people because I know them and they're great. And I'm excited to share who they are with you. And I also want to say that the way this experience is going to go is that we're going to explore the space of three voice actors and the kinds of questions. We'll take questions after. If you really have a burning question you need to drop in the chat while the person is presenting, you can, and I will take stock of it and I will be sure that we revisit. But remember that this experience is to ask questions to these voice actors. So instead of saying things like, hey, Amber, what should I do about my blank? I think you want to have your question to say, hey, Amber, what did you do about your blank, right? You're sort of finding the parallels you have with these voice actors and the ways that their experiences, what they have learned, the mistakes they've made, the triumphs they've achieved, could also perhaps parallel or mirror your experience. So
Siobhan,
as much as I would love to get in, yes.
sorry. There's something that's critical that is said though, and this is really imperative for everyone to understand. What works for one voice actor will not necessarily work for the other. And I absolutely adore the voiceover industry, but there's only one thing I dislike about the industry. And that is that a lot of people make assumptions. They assume one thing will be right for everyone. And that is so not the case, guys. I'm going to give you an example. And it's really imperative that you take this in. Okay. So often on forums, new voice actors, new to the industry, ask what microphone is good. And so many other voice actors will write back, and which is great. Everyone wants to help. Wonderful. And someone will say, oh, Model X microphone is good, or this other microphone is good. But you know what, guys? You can't purchase a microphone based upon what works for someone else. You have to purchase a microphone that works for you. And that means that it has to work for your voice, but it also, even more importantly, has to work for your space. And it has to work for the genre of voiceover or voiceovers, genres, plural, that you record in. There are so many variables, and that is the same for headphones and editing gear and studio space. So like Siobhan said, ask questions to the voice actors, okay, showing you their studio, get ideas, take it all in, but ultimately at the end of the day, to build a successful home studio for yourself, one that works for you, you have to get equipment and acoustic treatment that works for you, okay? Critical to understand that.
Super critical. And the reason we bring this up is because as much as we'd love to talk about 200 people's studios tonight, we just can't do it. So, oops, Brian, got you. But so, so thank you for your patience and yes, okay, be right back, got you. All right, here we go. So I think I'm ready to kind of begin if people are feeling good. And the first person I'm gonna bring to the spotlight for everybody is Amber. Amber, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your voiceover journey, and then take us on the tour. Oh, there she goes. Okay, without giving us vertigo would be great.
I'm so sorry. I was trying to give you a wider screen and I twisted it the wrong way.
Perfect. Amazing. Okay. So can you can you just begin a little bit by telling us about your voiceover journey and a little bit of your story?
Yeah, so I started training probably in 2020. And I got introduced to Edge in March of that year, but I was holding a full-time job and doing all kinds of other things. And this year was the year I kind of got serious about really doing voiceover. So I finished my demo with Edge in August, I think July or August. I started auditioning. I have some local clients here in Pittsburgh. And then I started auditioning for audiobooks and have found that that is kind of my jam. When I was a kid, I always wanted to read books out loud or on tape. So it just kind of really fit. And so that's really what I've been focusing on. I do have an agent out of New York that I work with, but mostly I'm doing audiobooks, which is just a complete joy for me.
Living the dream. And tell us where you are.
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it's Battaglia. The G is silent. So a lot of things I have branded are silent G because the G is silent.
I really appreciate that clarification
Yeah.
as someone with a complicated last name. So Amber, okay, so audiobook people, we're looking at an audiobook artist space. Do you mind just kind of showing us what you're capable of showing us?
Yeah, let me spin this camera around. So I'm sorry, please. Let's see here. There we go. All right. So I thought it would be kind of cool to show you from like the start of coming into my space, because what I've done is actually quarantined off like a part of the shop. So the back part of my studio is actually just a backdrop, and it's obviously super echoey out here. So I apologize for that. And then I am the woman behind the curtain for the rest of the time. So in the back of me is just these wonderful dampening curtains. And I started with that right away just because I knew I needed to quarantine off a space a little bit better. And I will walk slower, I promise.
Amber, Amber, can you focus on the top of the screen so we can see how that is attached to your ceiling, please?
Yes, absolutely. So I have a curtain rod that I just attached to the ceiling, and I am in a basement. So those are the water pipes. And I just took some shower curtain hooks and attached them to the little, I don't what they're called, whatever, ringlet things. And then I crossed over the two curtains. So there is a barrier, like a kind of a double wall barrier right behind me, because that's the part that kind of sneaks out all the time. And then I'm easily able to detach it. I'm 5'1". The ceilings are really short here, but it still works out. And I do have a little space. So above the curtain, there is a little space, but it has not impacted my recordings at all. And these are sound dampening curtains. And Siobhan, I'm happy to give you links to things that I bought in here if people are interested. I do have all my walls.
Fabulous.
Yeah. I do have all of my walls treated with just the foam. And I did get special ones for the corners that kind of pump out a little further. That's my husband. And I have treated my ceiling too. So that's one of the things that I noticed when I was starting. I was getting a little more echo than I really wanted to. And once I put that treatment on the ceiling, it really, really helped. And I got the white ones because I just can't live in a dark space all the time. It brings me down.
So that's Amber, kind of what's the estimated? Yeah. Do you have an estimated echo reduction going on here?
I have no idea.
Fair enough.
I mean, I can tell you, I have had zero complaints anytime I've submitted anything for an audition, any of the clients that I've worked with, and all of the audiobooks. And ACX is super, super particular. And I may have got nothing. I've had really, really fortunate luck. Maybe not fortunate luck, but planning.
You said that this was on the other side of a shop. What shop do you mean?
Well,
what do you mean?
I mean a workshop.
Okay.
So that's my workshop.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just what I wanted to see.
Yeah. My personal shop.
Some context. Okay.
And I do have a nice thick carpet on the floor too, which absorbs, and it's super cold down here. So I do have two heating sources. I've got this fireplace that I can only use to blast heat to get it really warm. Then I have to turn it off. And then I do have a nice radiator heater that can stay on while I'm recording, which is great. And this is for another kind of sound absorption perspective. I just recently put a cushion or blanket on my desk. And the reason, I mean, again, I wasn't having complaints, but once I stuck that on my desk, I really noticed an improvement in just what I was hearing personally in the microphone. So it really felt like it was dampening it more, which was a really fantastic thing. So that's kind of my sound treatment. I do need more in here, but again, it's pretty solid. I work on a sit-stand desk. So this desk goes up and it goes down. And the really nice thing about that is you can sit when you're tired and you can stand when you're not tired. When I'm doing audiobooks, I sit probably for 75% of the time, and I try not to move my microphone at all. So that's one of my biggest challenges, is making sure that mic is always in the same spot and that I'm in the same spot. But I am now putting a little piece of tape on the bottom of my sit stand desk for my sitting position and my standing position, so that it's always consistent.
Wonderful. People were literally asking in the chat about, sitting
Uh,
and standing
oh,
when
awesome.
you record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And,
great.
and this is a pretty big space, so I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty large. I would say it's probably 8 feet, maybe 9 feet wide, and maybe 4 feet deep, maybe 5. I don't think I can lay down fully on it. So
How do
it's a good
you,
space.
yeah, how do you know where to put the foam? Astrid is asking, is it trial and error, or is there a thought process to your placement?
I got to be honest with you, I just watched a lot of YouTube videos. So I follow a lot
Mhm.
of voice actors on TikTok, on Instagram, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos and just listened to what they had. And I didn't start with everything. I definitely started with all the pink in front of me and the black below it, but I didn't have
Mhm.
anything on the sides. And I didn't have anything on the ceiling.
Mhm.
And I just kind of gradually
Mhm.
added until when I was listening to my mic, when the space was dead, I'd make a little sound. I could hear whether there was an echo or not. So I just kind of kept treating it until I thought it was good. And then I had a video call
Mhm.
with an engineer too, and just said, "Hey, can you take a look? What do you think? Do I have to take away this, you know, cadenza over here?" And he said, "No, you're good. Everything looks good." So
I'm going to throw something in because I'm seeing a number of questions come through the chat about sound acoustics, and I'll tell you that in general, with a voiceover studio, you can't have too much foam or blankets on the wall or pillows. You really do require a space that is void of reverb or echo or resonance, whatever you want to call it. And I will also tell you guys that so many talented voice actors lose auditions because their recording quality is not up to par. Their voices, their performances might be terrific, but if there's echo in your recording, it's pretty darn hard to ever expect to get a client. So ultimately, you need a lot of foam, or like I said, blankets or pillows. It looks like Amber's done a terrific job, and adding more and more just makes your sound better and better. It gives you more confidence, which is great. Amber, hats off to you. Putting the blanket on the desk is great because that's the big surface, which means a lot of sound, or a lot of your voice could bounce off of it. And with respect to the carpeting and the foam on the ceilings, that's also great. There's something in recording studios called flutter echo. Flutter echo is when sound will bounce back and forth between two hard surfaces. So if you have limited funds and you can only afford foam for half of your space, it's not optimal, but if you can only do half of your space, put it on opposing walls so you don't get flutter echo. You don't get sound that bounces back and forth between two walls or the floor and ceiling. So you want something on the floor or the ceiling, preferably both, and then something on the front wall or the back wall, but again, preferably both. Amber, this is great. Yeah, keep going. And
thank you.
Siobhan, I don't know how much time each voice actor gets, but um, this is terrific.
Yeah, we're sort of, it is terrific. Amber, is there anything else there? I know there's a lot of questions in the chat. I'm gonna,
Yeah,
I
I
want to
think
kind of keep going through our,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll let you go to other people, but I do have a boom arm. I've got my Scarlett, and my headphones just kind of rest here. And then this was probably my favorite new ad. This actually holds my iPad when I'm not doing this video walkthrough. And so I do all my scripts right here. And I used to have them on this bigger monitor. It was irritating. It actually gives me much better recordings as well because of where my mouth is pointed. So I've been able to really put my script in the right spot so that my mouth is really angled in a really appropriate space on the microphone. So just another nice little
Mm,
gadget. I think it cost me $19 on Amazon.
mm. Before we let you go, will you tell us what kind of mic you have?
Yes, I have a Shure KSM 32. And so here we are, the Shure KSM 32. I'm using a blue arm and I hate it. I just ordered a new one because I just can't stand this one. And I actually have like a double situation. I've got the foam And then I've also got the pop filter that I use. And then I also have another mic. So I keep a Shure SM7B, but that is a dynamic. So I usually only use that when I'm doing podcast stuff.
Fabulous. And then tell us what kind of DAW you use.
I'm using Reaper and I love it.
Okay, Reaper people in the house. Scarlett Focusrite fans in the house. We love it. Okay, James
Wait,
is
wait, wait,
into
wait,
it.
wait. Let me throw in for everyone. Some of you may not know what a DAW is. DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation, and that is the software that you record on and edit and play back on. It's like a word
Forgive me.
processor, but a
David
sound
is like,
processor.
yes, David's like, Siobhan, you speak in the acronyms and you need to explain it to the people. Yes, the digital audio workstation. Amber, thank you so much for that. I
Yeah.
want you to think about, I'm going to come back to you at the end, but to sort of think about the thing that you want to upgrade about your studio or your dreams for the future of a voiceover studio in general for yourself.
You got
Thank
it.
you so much. I am going to bring to the stage here, Brian. Hey, Brian, what's up?
Hello, how you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I was thinking you're kind of like the voiceover version of Jonathan Van Ness, so that's kind of a nice thing.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Brian, it's been so long since we've seen. Brian is a friend I've actually met in person at Edge. If that can even we can even fathom that. But
It's been a few years.
so I know a little bit. It's been a few years, and I know a little bit about your journey. But would you mind sort of giving us a little intro of where you are in your voiceover life?
Yeah, I started doing voiceover in 2019 and figured I could do it without any training. I could just Google the things and find all the things I wanted to do. And I spent probably about 6 months doing everything wrong that you could possibly do. And finally pulled my head out of my butt and said, I'm going to go get some training. And I had learned about Edge through a podcast. And I reached out, and Suzanne was my first contact with Suzanne Pinedo, who's awesome. And sort of the rest is history. It's been just doing a lot of audiobooks. That's where I got started, and I'm still a mainstay of the business, but I am doing commercial work as well. Yeah, it's been growing, and the studio or the booth I'm going to show you is version 3.0. So this is like the third iteration of the workspace here.
Okay, I love it. So, Brian, thank you for all of that. Do you feel ready to kind of guide us through the tour?
Sure. Yep. Let me flip the camera
All right.
around here so we
Let's
can do
do
this. How do I do this? That's the question. I am no good
Yep.
at this. I have no idea how to flip this thing around. So we'll
Okay.
just do this. Okay. So, well, this is the desk itself. We'll do this. We'll start here. So I do all my editing and all the work. I use Audacity, and so I do all that here at the desk. I had my desk from when my brother was in high school as my first desk, and then we found this one on Facebook Marketplace for I think like $20. It was an old sewing desk from 1895, so I just reconditioned it and turned it into my workspace here, so I could have all my monitors and everything. But we'll get over to the actual booth itself. So actually, we'll do this. Back here, that closet was my first recording space. I just had foam up in there.
Yeah.
It was okay. It got the job done. I did a lot of books that way. But being that I've got windows right here, we're in Philadelphia. We've got a school right across the street. So a lot of ambient noise would make its way in, especially when cars with bad exhaust or dump trucks would drive by. So this was my project for last year. I'd saved up for a while to build this booth, which now takes up the vast majority of my office here. We'll come on in to the space here.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, so here we'll do the 360 here. We got Yoda and the dragon there, and so this is where I do. Try to get over here. This is where I do all the recording here. So I've got my monitor here, which actually mirrors what's on my screen out there. So that way I can control Audacity through here as I'm looking at my scripts, and I don't have to worry about having to like go back and forth a lot. Having the mouse in here having the mouse in my booth was a revelation, because I could stop doing dog clicker recording for audiobooks, and I can move to punch and run, which has been a huge time saver as far as making that something that's actually, doable. And this was actually an addition I put in for the keyboard when I bring my keyboard in here. I don't have it in here most of the time, but when I do, I had to have it in here for a client hit that I had 2 weeks ago. So I put this in here so that way I could also, do some keyboard work if I needed to in the booth. I've got I brought this little keyboard here. That gives me just some quick hotkey control with Audacity, so I can control some things really easily. One of the really nice things about this one that I love is I was able to put a vent in here that is virtually silent, because it's actually a sound trap that comes out and vents out on the other side, and it's got a bunch of zigzags in it with foam, so that way the air can move, but it reduces the sound from the fan. I'll show you the fan, just a computer fan that's right there. So when that's running, and it's a super quiet fan as it is, so it's running at around like 10 decibels. So when I put it on, I got my fancy switches. Here we go. I got to demonstrate here. Here we go. Put that
Nice
on.
lights.
It makes it real. But that, you can't even hear that on the recording. It doesn't change the noise floor at all. So that's been a wonderful addition as well, because that means now I can record for hours at a time without dying. Whereas before, if I was a half hour into recording, I would come out about 5 pounds lighter. Now, last week, I actually did about a 4-hour straight audiobook session to knock out a project. And I was a little warm in the end, but it wasn't nearly as bad as far as the old closet went. So,
Brian,
yeah,
Brian,
that's
what
the
are the
majority of it.
dimensions?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
What are the dimensions of the booth you're in right now?
Inside, it's about 5 feet by 5 feet, and I want to say it's a 7-foot high. It's about a 7-foot high ceiling, so that adds to that allows some of my hot air to get away from me. I've got rock wool on the ceiling. I've got some foam here to help with, and because it's just drywall underneath, it's double sheeted drywall. I've got rock wool I've got sound suppressing insulation in between the layers of drywall. The drywall, it's double sheets on the inside and outside with green glue. Yeah, so this was really meant to be as isolated a space as I could possibly make it. If I still have like a truck parked outside, that bass is still going to get through. And I was concerned about that, but I had my consult with Dan Friedman, who's awesome. And he assured me there's nothing to be done about that. It's just you have to live with it. But the nice thing is that I'm not hearing much of anything from outside the booth now when it's all closed up. So when I close it up in here, it's nice and quiet, except when the dogs bark.
There's nothing more peaceful, is there? So
not really, no.
There are some questions, sorry, David.
Oh, a couple of things. I just like to clarify. This is great, by the way. So cool to see your space. So happy for you guys. A couple of clarifications, just so everyone knows. You mentioned green glue. That is an acoustic sealant. Typically anyone who builds sheetrock walls is going to use some type of sealer between the pieces of sheetrock. So green glue is one that's made specifically for, I don't know if it's made only for studios, but it's great for studios because it never truly hardens. So therefore it stays a little bit soft or putty-ish, and therefore it is less reflective for sound, and it works great. Oh, and I also wanted to comment on your fan. Excellent, excellent shot on your fan there. Just so everyone who doesn't yet have a booth, when you record in a booth, it gets bad hot, like really bad hot. But of course, as you explained so nicely, using a fan is going to be loud. So when you run a fan, when you run the output of a fan through a tube, every time the tube makes a 90-degree turn, it cuts the decibels in half. So if you take the pipe that runs from the fan into your booth and you have it make a couple of 90-degree turns, or even like 10 or 20 turns, so ultimately it looks sort of like intestines or a crumpled up piece of spaghetti, that's fabulous because that means that it's virtually silent on the inside. The only other
Yeah, that
clarification I wanted to point out is you mentioned punch and run or punch and roll. Sometimes it's called, sometimes even called punch in. That's just an editing technique that's commonly used in audiobooks, which means you can re-record snippets of a story without having to go back and edit down the road. I don't think I need to get into any more technical stuff than that at this point. I just wanted to clarify for anyone who's watching who doesn't know what that means.
David, we appreciate your inclusivity and for all the levels of experience of where we are. But truly, Brian, did you follow someone's plan here to build this space, or is this your baby?
for the most part, it's my baby. I mean, I definitely researched it online to see what other people had built, just to get an idea. I'm pretty handy, so I'm able to figure a lot of this stuff out myself. So once I had an idea of what needed to be done, then I was able to adapt it for the space that I had, to make sure I could fit everything in that I needed to fit in here, still have access to things I needed to have access to. So yeah, so that was mostly, it's an amalgamation. I can't take total credit for it, but ultimately it was what I put together from it was what I put together from my research.
Fantastic. And did you build your own vent and damper, or did you purchase it?
Now I built everything in this booth is built by me. So I've got so the sound maze vent, I built that. I did all the wiring. I built the switches. I got the switches from vintagewiring.com, I think. Just I thought they looked really cool. And I built everything. I built the door myself. I mean, all of it. So that way I was using solid wood, so that way it's just, I was trying to add as many layers as I could as I was putting all this together, just knowing that the more layers that were between me and the outside, the more likely it was I was going to take or get most of the sound out and just be able to get in there and record. And I got to audition a couple months ago for, all right, how do I do this without a very loud comic book character that everyone has seen in a movie, whose favorite color is green. I got to audition for something, and my wife could not hear me yelling as the script called for when she was downstairs. So the layers.
Okay,
That's fantastic.
Two more quick questions, which I think are useful. And everybody wants to know, what mic are you using and what is it hanging from? How have you got it rigged in there?
Okay, so this is a Golden Age Project TC10 or TC1, excuse me. And going off of what David had said, when I had was building the booth, this was like my special. I'm now gonna upgrade my microphone. And so this is my first real big upgrade microphone. So I called, I dealt with Sweetwater directly at David's suggestion. And they asked me a bunch of questions. They sent me some suggestions of what I should use. And ultimately, this is the one I went with. The rig here is from Hale. It's a Hale sound rig. So I've got it mounted. I'm trying not to blind everyone with my light there, but it's mounted to the ceiling. So it's a riser, and you can buy these risers, and it comes with the ceiling. I think pretty much sure it comes with the ceiling mount. And then it's got the extension arm coming off of that. So it's nice and solid, not going anywhere. I didn't have this in, did I? Yeah, I did have this in the previous booth. Just because I had like an arm, like one of those radio arms before, and it was okay, but it was bulky and I could never get the position quite right. It felt like it was always moving around and it picked up a lot of vibration. This seems to not pick up nearly as much. And but yeah, I love this microphone. This has been a real fun thing, and it looks awesome. I just love the way it looks. So
I know, it's like the things that we appreciate is a beautiful mic. That's just the kind of people we are, all 200 of us tonight. Brian, you are amazing. I'm doing my Zoom up Twinkle's jazz hands for you. I'm gonna switch you out and just thank you so much. And more questions for Brian, keep them coming. We'll come back to him, but I just want to bring you our final feature here, which is my friend Dina. And I say that, we haven't met in person like I've met Brian, but thanks to the Zoom universe, I've gotten to know Dina quite well over the past 2 years. Dina, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I just want to point out that somebody said, Brian, that if voiceovers don't work out, you could always use that space as a panic room. I thought that was pretty funny. Well,
our for a while, our younger son was a very colicky baby, and my wife used to say, "Can you just take him to the studio for a while so I can get a good night rest?"
oh, interesting.
Hi, Dina.
So Dina, same thing. Dina is our final guest this evening, and Dina, would you mind telling us a little bit about your voiceover journey before you show us around your space?
Sure. And I brought visual aids, so I'm not going to be moving my camera for you. Then no need to get dizzy. I just want to show you what I was working with before. So when I first started out in voiceover in 2014, I purchased a 7x7 foot whisper room, single walled whisper room, which is twice the size of what you see right there. And we were in a great space. We moved and there was no room anywhere for a 7x7 whisper room. So we figured out how to basically cut it in half, store the other panels. And this is what I've been working with for the last maybe 5 years, 4 or 5 years. So you can see I basically have everything on a C-stand behind that desk. And then the monitor and the stuff on the desk are in front of that. So I took this idea and expanded it back into the larger booth when we moved into a larger space. So long story, really short. We were living in Los Angeles. My father, who is a very, very senior, needed help at home. He asked us to move in. So we've been living in his house, which is full of stuff. So he went into a care facility a few months ago, which gave us the opportunity to start cleaning up. This is where we started. So this is what the room that the booth is going into looked like when we started. And we cleaned it out. Look, there's a piano. Who knew? And then finally, everything pretty much went away. And the booth is going to go into that corner space. So Jim Edgar, who some of you may know, probably most of you know, Jim is local here in the San Francisco Bay Area. He is a voice actor, tech guru, all around really super guy. He had put in the half-size booth for us when we first moved up, and was gracious enough to come back and help build out this second version of the booth. So I hired 2 movers to help him. If you are going to install something as big as this, get help. This is not a one-person job. And it was maybe 2 hours or so, 2.5 hours for them to put this in. And then when it's all done, that's what it looks like. So we're back up to 7x7. And I'd forgotten what 7x7 was like. It is a larger space. So I thought, heck, I'm going to throw everything that I'm going to put in the booth. I'm going to just put it in there, and it's just going to miraculously sort of set itself up beautifully. And it did not do that at all. Jim and I talked about positioning these panels. These are ATS panels. And so we looked at putting them in the corner. And so the microphone would go in the corner as well. And once I got in the space, it just felt weird. I just couldn't make that work. So I took everything out. And so right now we're standing at the doorway looking straight in. So now everything is going into that corner, which feels fabulous. And you can see the desk is one that raises and lowers. I usually keep it up. I usually stand to record. But when I want to sit down, I have this stool that I'm on. And then the C-stand is back in the corner there. And as of this week, this is actually what I'm looking at right now is what you see. So I have 2 ring lights, which are awesome. Jim Edgar suggested I get shower curtain rods, just like Amber has. And so the shower curtain rods are actually holding those lights. They're light enough to do that. And then I got a blue microphone holder and have had nothing but problems with it, right? Same thing. So that's going out. And in the meantime, I'm using an Elgato Master Arm, something like that. They also have something called a Wave Arm, which is what I want to get, but it's on back order. So in the meantime, I've got this. My mic is a Sennheiser 416. It's on a Rode shock mount, which I'm trying out for the first time. So it's kind of cool. It looks like it isolates the mic pretty well, but I guess I'll find out soon enough. Then the C stand is back behind there. It's holding the camera. I think that's all it's holding right now. So it's holding the camera. It's a Canon EOS M40. The monitors are ViewSonic, and then I've got keyboard, trackpad, a little phone charger, and then some fun stuff. And I'll share with you the fun stuff in just a sec. So all the stuff that is on the desk goes into a central hub, and then the hub gets routed outside of the booth and into the Mac Mini that is outside. Mac Minis, even though it's an M1 chip, it still has a fan, so can't have a fan in the booth. So this is where everything plugs in. Super, super simple. One of the things on the desk is this little wooden set of buttons. I don't know if you've ever seen these. This was actually part of a Kickstarter several years ago. And at the time, the company was called Palette, and they were called Palette Gear. And they've since evolved to this much larger set of buttons and sliders and knobs that are also buttons, and they call themselves Monogram. And these are all programmable. So for me, for this little set that I use one button that does play and stop. I have another button that hits record, and then other things that I've assigned to the other buttons. And that's really streamlined, like punch and roll. I can set it up to do a punch and roll. You can create the profile where it just automatically, slots in what each of those buttons is going to do to help you do that. Love them, love them, love them. The other thing on my desk is a Stream Deck. If you've watched any gamers, like Twitch gamers, if you've seen any of their setups, chances are they've got a Stream Deck on their desk. It's a set of buttons that are also programmable, but programmable to, I think, a much greater extent with a lot more flexibility than the Palette. If you want to know more, Google them because it's a fabulous product. And this is Elgato, the same people who make the microphone boom arm. They have lots and lots of great equipment. My microphone runs into a Focusrite Scarlett 18i8, which is like same line as what Amber has. Once I started plugging in a piano keyboard and 2 channels of a Chapman stick and vocal mic and all of that, I sort of outgrew the 2i2. So this is why I have the 18i8. And then there are other things that I have not yet put in, but will go in eventually. Did I say this is a work in progress, Siobhan? This is such a work in progress.
We all are, all of us here.
So I have used this Padcaster teleprompter that's made by Parrot. It slides over your DSLR camera lens, and then you slide your iPhone or phone in there. The app will then scroll your text, and you can read your text while you're looking into the camera. So for voiceover, this doesn't necessarily apply, but if this were a scripted presentation, which clearly it is not, but if it were, then I could read my text just by looking at you right there. So that's what that is. The light strip is just like any other light strip, except it's made by Elgato, and Elgato ties that into the Stream Deck, so I can control the light strip with the Stream Deck. And then more of those little buttons by the Monogram people. And then this is like showing your underwear. This is what's at my feet right now. So when you're creating your space, don't take a lot of time to cover up your cables and make it all neat until you really know that you're happy with your space. just let them fly. I have this stuff that I got at Amazon. I can't remember the name of it, sorry. But it's just a little mesh thing. It goes over your cables, closes up, then you don't see your cables anymore. But wait to do all of that until you're really sure that, this is where you want something. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time, figuring, pulling things apart and putting things back together again.
Let me just throw one thing in. Everyone,
Sure.
Dina, this is fabulous. Really fabulous. Thank you for sharing. Just
Sure.
a quick and important note about cabling. Sometimes you can have serious grounding issues, like noise issues, if you run certain types of wires together. So Dina's suggestion to not tuck all of your wires into the same like neat cavity at right off the get-go is great, because not only might you be switching around equipment or moving around equipment, but also you might find that certain wires, when they crisscross or are near each other, they cause some noise issues, buzzes and hums, and especially AC wires with audio cables sometimes don't really mesh. So you may have to play around with cables. So very good point. Excellent point, Dina.
Thanks. Yeah, I was always taught
Di-
to run them at 45, or 90-degree angles,
Yes.
audio on AC.
Dina, people are asking about your voiceover journey because they're just how you got into it or how long you've been in it. We got right into your studio and people are curious about I think they're feeling a little envy here, so they just want to hear that you've been doing it for a very long time.
I thought this was a studio tour, not a career tour. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to totally date myself. I took 2 or 3 classes in the 90s, and a couple were great, one was not. And I tabled it. I just tabled doing voiceover because I thought I'm going to have my voice for a while. I have other things going on. I was a full-time graphic designer, and I just couldn't, it was a time before the internet, before online casting, and you had to have time in your day to go to your agent to audition, and you had to get an agent. And how did you get an agent? So I had to just table it. And then once all of these online casting services came in, I literally called a guy that I met on the internet. That sounds weird. Ed Cunningham, who is a great voice actor in Los Angeles. He does demos. He helps people set up their spaces. I called him up and I said, hey, I need to do a demo. He said, come on down. 2 weeks later, I had a demo, and then I just started shopping it around, and I've been working ever since. How's that?
Thank you. I appreciate that. This is super fabulous. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bring my people to the Zoom. David, you want to come with us? I'm bringing you. Here we go.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
And then I'll bring myself. Yeah, okay. All right. So, hey, this is like we just crashed through everybody's spaces. Somehow I was, we were like an hour. That'll do. So now I'm just like we've looked at everybody. I kind of have like statements I want to kind of elicit from people. There's a ton of questions. There's just so much to talk about. David, is there anything you want to say before I kind of like jump into the chat, or anything on your end after looking at everybody's spaces?
Yeah, a couple of quick notes. First off, everyone will have the opportunity to download this recording, or at least the chats, right, Siobhan? So there may be some,
Yeah.
I'm not following the chats, but assuming that there's interesting questions, interesting information in there, any information swapping, that Siobhan will tell you how to download that chat. So that's important. Just don't get off the call yet. Second thing is, remember, please, what I said at the beginning, that what works for one person won't necessarily work for you. So take all of these ideas, suggestions, advice, and just figure out what will work best for you. Final thing to say, over the years, I've worked with, literally thousands and thousands of voice actors, and I've seen thousands of home studios, and they do come in all shapes and all sizes. And the 3 we saw today are all terrific looking. I've seen a lot of really run down looking studios. I've seen people who, without exaggeration, who use like underwear or socks as popper stoppers, and take old couch cushions and nail them into the walls and ceiling. And that can really work, and work inexpensively and sound fantastic. Okay. So You don't have to necessarily go and buy an expensive whisper room. They look great. You don't necessarily need an expensive microphone. It's helpful, but there are some great microphones for a couple $100, even a 150 that sound great these days. So get ideas from this and then figure out what works for you. But the last thing to say to the three of you who shared your studios, thank you. This is so cool. Really, really awesome and inspiring. Thanks.
It was a
It
great
it
idea. Thank you,
honestly
David.
got it. And like given it is David's idea. David's like, I want to do this event. And we're like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And we've like finally gotten here. So I want to just hop around to the three of you. And I'm going to start with Amber. So I'm going to ask you three questions. And I'm going to ask everybody the same three. So Dina, you get the most time. But Amber, so for you, I want to ask you what your favorite thing about your studio is. The second question is what you would love to change or grow or advance about your space. And then the third question is, because there's a lot of this in the chat, is kind of a little bit, if you're willing to share, of how long of a haul of investment have you made? Were you working other jobs when you started out? And give us a little bit of the detail of like that kind of challenge for you.
These need to be short answers though.
You got it.
Yes, we started 3 minutes late though, so I'm gonna hold over to, okay, yeah.
So favorite thing, honestly, is my mic, computer, and iPad setup. Like, it's just pristine for me. Like, it just works really, really well for me. What I would like to improve is the curtain behind me. So I would love to have a wall with a door that I could close myself in and out of. It just will feel a little bit more secure, but I don't anticipate I'll do that for a long time. And I worked full-time at a corporate job. I was a corporate like snob until December 2020. And when I left my job, I have a professional coaching career that I also have. So I still do that and voiceover. So I have to do two things right now. Eventually I would like to not have to do two things.
Yes, that's why we're having you though. We all do, many of us do many things. And I think it's important to be transparent about that. Thank you, Amber. Brian, do you need me to repeat any of the prompts or are you ready?
No, I got it. The best thing is the vent in that booth. Keeps things nice and cool. Love it. Improvements. Right now, really, it's just, I'd love to get me a Sennheiser or a Newman. Just get a nice, just completely just expensive for no other reason that it's expensive microphone. As far as the time investment and whatnot, yeah, I hustled working at my uncle's restaurant as a fry cook, and I still do that a couple times a week. But yeah, I would be there either during the day or at night, and just socking money away. And I started doing that in 2019. Still pulling a couple shifts a week there, so you got to be patient with this. This is not something you're going to go from 0 to success in 6 months, a year, 3 years. I've just started my 4th year doing this, and I'm just getting to the point where I can think about doing this full time. So just be patient. Yeah, hustle. Yeah.
But congratulations. Even just being able to think about those things is a big deal. And thank you for being transparent about your journey. My main thing when we host these events is for people to not be like, well, I could never build. Siobhan, could never build what Brian built, but I can have my own path, which is still important for us to remember about ourselves. Brian, you're such a legend. Dina, how about you? How do you want to respond to those prompts?
Okay, the best thing about this booth is that I am not working in the same room as my wonderful husband, who, although I adore him, he has meetings, lots of meetings. And I was recording, between sentences and for all of COVID. So it really was getting very, very difficult. So I can't tell you what that means to be able to have silence. And then what was the second and third?
Yeah. What you would like to, I know you just upgraded and you've got some things you're going to be putting in, but what ways you want to continue to grow the space? And then a little bit about the cost.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Or like
It
not how much it costs, but like,
we can talk about
ways that just challenges in your
Yeah.
journey. Yeah.
The room has not been tuned yet, so I'm going to record an audition. I'm going to send that off to some wonderful people and have them take a listen and give me suggestions, because not all the panels are up and there's more to be done. So that's the next thing. As far as cost goes, I was really fortunate that my husband is a programmer. He could support me while I ramped up the business, and that was absolutely essential. And I also believe in getting the best that you can afford, because it's got to serve you for years. You cannot go out and keep buying and rebuying this kind of equipment, every 2 years. So get the best that you can for where you're at. Um, and the one thing they don't tell you about budgeting for this is that you've got to budget for training. You can have the best equipment in the world, and if you don't have the training behind you and the skills behind you, you are not going to work as much as you could. So keep that in mind as a budget line too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dina. People also, the chat is roaring, but people have said you sound like an angel. So I just thought that you should know. Yeah, thank you so much. And so everybody, like we said, we're here to explore. This is like a beta test too. If there's like so much going on. Definitely, if you are following Edge Studio on social media, then you can activate, you can communicate with any of these folks via their platforms. I'm going to share our link tree. This is Edge Studio's general set of links for all the kinds of stuff we got going on, and it includes the form, which I would love if people enjoyed this experience and they want to maybe share their own home studio. If you've already filled out this form, then I've got it, and I will be reaching out for a March event if David and Sarah think we can continue to do this. But this is the form that these folks filled out to host tonight. We do ask for a photo of the space to just to see what is going on in there. And as Dina said, Dina gave this really wonderful segue into training. So if you're new and figuring things out, or if you've got your space and you're like, I'm not sure, we do offer home studio consults. We do have a lot to offer here at Edge Studio as a place where you can get some training. In fact, I actually didn't. Amber is the one I know the least, and I wasn't sure, Amber, if you had trained at Edge, but it just turns out that the three of these voice actors have all trained with us. It's not required for you to show your space here, I promise. But we certainly recommend, if you're not doing it with us, seek some counsel to guide you through this process. It is a long journey, as they have all ID'd. It's a process, and there's going to be countless more questions to ask and to have answered, and to journey. And the things that you're buying is we're always going to have shopping lists. And as I said, Brian, we really dream of those 2K mics. They're just part of our lives and our fantasies. So I think that we don't have a date for this event next month just yet, because this is total beta situation. We're going to figure out anything that I need to be doing differently next time. And I hope that my three folks here will let me know anything they feel that I should do differently. And there is no download of the recording. This will be posted on YouTube. And if you're on our mailing list, you'll get the link in your inbox. And if you follow us on social media, I will be posting it there. However, if you want to save the chat for any reason, if anybody dropped any nuggets of delight if you're on a desktop, on the right-hand side underneath of the chat in your browser, you will see a little ellipses. And it's right next to the button that says File. And with that ellipses, you can click Save Chat, and then you can have all the comments that are really glorious here. Okay, I feel like now we need like a Discord or something to have more conversation after this. But I do want to keep us at the appropriate time and let our voice actors go do the things they need to do. I know David's got things he needs to do. David, any final closing remarks before I let everybody go?
I would like to thank everyone on the call, watching or participating in any manner. It just shows that you're dedicated to voiceover, which is super cool. Special shout out to Sarah and Siobhan for pulling this together. And I was going to say one other thing. Oh, darn it, I forgot. Oh, no, I honestly forgot, and that's embarrassing in front of 191 people on, but I did forget. If it comes to me before you hang up,
That's okay.
I will mention it.
That's okay. I got you. Yes. Thank you, everyone. And I appreciate I appreciate you all being here. And yes, Kevin, I did mean to share my sound. I know what I'm doing. I am initiating some applause for our voice actors.
Oh, I know what it is. Wait, Siobhan.
Oh,
Siobhan,
yes, David.
I remember, guys, the third thing, and I think this is so important. Siobhan asked if the 3 voice actors who were spotlighted today had any feedback, but I will further that. If anyone has any feedback on this, any of you, things you like, things you dislike, things you wish we could have done, do you wish it was longer? Do you wish it was shorter? Anything at all, please email us. Our email address is office@edgestudio.com, and let us know. If we can incorporate something that will make it better for you guys, then let us know. We won't know unless you tell us. And this is for you guys. We're not doing this for us. We're doing it for you. So let us know what we can change, make better, different. Please let us know.
And our oh, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. Our Ask Me Anything session, our daytime community programming does continue with just me and David. So if you want to get more into home studio conversations tomorrow, we will not be able to get super specific as usual. David will say it depends on your space because it does. However, we can talk more about some of the things we learned tonight in our Ask Me Anything session at 1 p.m. tomorrow on the Zooms. That link is on our socials as well as our newsletter. I just can't pull it out right now, but
It's
okay.
1 p.m. Eastern.
Hey, everybody.
Guys, at 1 p.m. Eastern
1
tomorrow.
p.m. 10 a.m. for my Pacifics. Everybody else, Micah, you know what time it is over there. I can't do it for all the people. And if you're in Europe right now, congrats for hanging out at like whatever time of night it is, or morning, I think a little bit at this point. So, okay. I really appreciate everybody showing up. I am going to gallery myself just to see everybody. It's really wonderful to see your faces. Stacy, Alec, Bill is here. Bill, I'm so happy to see you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Okay, you all are amazing. Thanks for all the friends and the people with your cameras on being here. It's really just a pleasure to see you, and we appreciate you. Hello, Michael's got his adorable child. There's 2 adorable children. Dave in the PNW, it's great to have you with us. Thank you for being with us tonight. Ralph, you look great. Really appreciate everybody's energy tonight. And we'll do this again. And in the meantime, just keep following us on the socials. Also, hey, Donald, great to see you again. Appreciate you. And so until then, thank you so much. David, thanks for being with us. Shout out to Sarah, who's in the house, who's kind of doing some back end admin. And Dina, Brian, and Amber, once again, you all were so courageous to jump in to do this thing tonight, having like never done this before. And I'm like, I hope I know what I'm doing. Appreciate you. Appreciate you all so much. And thanks for your smiles and thanks for your positive light. Everyone, have a wonderful early evening, late night, whatever it is. Mwah. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Thank you. Bye.